The more Yihan thought about it, the more curious she became. All the data about Chen Yuan suddenly flashed in her mind like a film rewinding. Basketball, singing, dancing, playing the piano, playing the violin, even fighting and medicine. Not to mention Go and calligraphy as well. Goodness, each of them was at an extraordinary level. He was like a living dictionary. No, he must be an encyclopedia. The more Yihan thought, the more she got caught up in a never-ending train of thought. Especially with Chen Yuan's laughter echoing back, every word full of chivalry. In that moment, Chen Yuan's handsome appearance seemed to emit a powerful aura of authority. Yihan, favorite level plus 10, and then Lihan, favorite level plus 10. Current favorite level, 50 points. Beside her, Qin Wu Shuang suddenly shouted with longing, "No, I must also apprenticeship under a master to learn cultivate immortality like him. I want to fly and jump off buildings without worry like Chen Yuan." Chen Yuan almost burst out laughing. He thought to himself, his lips curling up in smug satisfaction. That jump off the building act just now seems ridiculous, but looking at Yihan's expression towards Qin Wu Shuang, I just wanted to laugh out loud. Those two girls must have been so scared they froze, not knowing what to say anymore, probably thought I was a superhero or something. So Chen Yuan decided to throw in a few lines of poetry to complete the act. The dust-laden road dissolves into nothingness. This free-spirited wanderer remains unbound, indifferent to the passage of time. Ha 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 ha. I'm not an ordinary person. How could I be restricted by trivial matters? After a round of mental wrestling and battling with her own thoughts because of Chen Yuan, Yihan finally gave in. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and declared as if she had just attained enlightenment. Wu Shuan, I think I'm about to eat my words. I might actually like Chen Yuan. He's so mysteriously infuriating. I'm dying of curiosity. I must uncover the secret he's hiding. Upon hearing this, Qin Wu Shuang's eyes widened, her eyebrows raised as if to ask, "Oh my God, what are you saying, Yihan? You've always boldly declared that you wanted nothing to do with those playboys. Chen Yuan, his eyes shine like headlights when he sees a girl. Just looking at him is already exhausting. Are you really considering falling for that headlight-eyed guy?" Yihan sighed as if enlightened, having just discovered the truth of life, her tone filled with resentment. "Sorry, Ms. Wu Shuang. Maybe I'm a bit delusional. People often set up some principles to live by and believe they'll stick to them. But after meeting Chen Yuan, I finally understand. I really can't do it. I don't like promiscuous men, but Chen Yuan, he's not an ordinary person. He's different, very special." After hearing this, Qin Wu Shuang wanted to laugh, but couldn't, wanting to cry yet unable to. "Ha! You just said he's not an ordinary person. Are you okay? Or are you just saying everything is special because you have a crush on him? Let me remind you, he's just an ordinary person, a genuine playboy." In Yihan's mind, thoughts were racing around like a crazy squirrel. She didn't need to think any further. She responded in a tangled voice. "I know I shouldn't, but somehow this curiosity just pulls me down. The more mysterious he is, the harder it is for me to look away. At this rate, I'll definitely fall in love with him sooner or later. I'll say it directly, I'm scared that if I end up liking him, things will become awkward for us. I have to say this clearly to prepare myself, or it will be very uncomfortable." Qin Wu Shuang, as soon as Yihan finished confessing, not only did she not soften her heart, but immediately switched to battle mode. "Okay, Yihan, listen, I'm telling you in advance, let's compete fairly. Don't think that because we're close I will give in. There's no compromising. I am Qin Wu Shuang and I will never give up. The more we compete, the more determined I become." So the two seem to have signed an unspoken contract to compete for Chen Yuan's love. Qin Wu Shuang's favorite level increased by 1. Current favorite level, 95 points. Qin Wu Shuang's favorite level towards the master, successful breakthrough of 95 points. Congratulations to the master for successfully triggering a reverse attack. Kang, Qin Wu Shuang has successfully transformed into the master's slave. Reward, 50 enhancement points. Remaining enhancement points, 130. Kang, congratulations to the master for acquiring skills. Marksmanship mastery, stock trading mastery, combat mastery, dance mastery, appraisal mastery, psychology mastery, English mastery, table tennis mastery, racing mastery, airplane control mastery. All in just 1 second. Chen Yuan was in a state of unimaginable joy. The system in his mind suddenly activated skill loading mode as if updating the latest software. But these weren't just some random skills. They were a long list from shooting, playing table tennis, flying planes, to artifact appraisal. Thinking about the money, he held his head and exclaimed, "A rich and noble young lady being pursued like this somehow feels a bit regrettable. If I had known I should have done something to increase the drama, maybe I would have been rewarded with extra money. These skills excel in both table tennis and racing and also know how to appraise antiques. Living like this seems a bit too extravagant, doesn't it? After the rooftop meeting with Chen Yuan, Ye Han and Qin Wushuang stepped out of the elevator with a unique atmosphere. The two girls had serious expressions, as if they had just heard something shocking from the sky, prompting anyone who saw them to pause their lives and check for anything unusual. In Wang Mang Mang's mind, a big question mark exploded. They went up for just 5 minutes but came down so quickly. What did they talk about with Chen Yuan that made their faces so tense? I remember last time, Miss Qin had a small altercation with him at school, but now that they're such close friends, something strange is going on here. Yang Weibai, standing next to her, also began to eavesdrop on the drama. It must just be work-related. But how did they know each other before? Wang Mang Mang eagerly started recounting the story of how Chen Yuan met Qin Wushuang and Yi Han. Miss Qin was picked up by him when they were in school, and there was even a little conflict back then. As for Miss Yi, I met her on a yacht during a big birthday party. Over 1,000 guests, all prominent figures in Mado. That party was organized just to celebrate Miss Yi's birthday. Chen Yuan and she met on the boat, but I did notice them interacting much after that. The crowd in the living room began to feel anxious. In Yang Weibai's mind, a huge question suddenly popped up like a watermelon. What's going on? How did they get so close so quickly? And what does it mean to see Chen Yuan in such a mysterious way? Suddenly, the whole group turned towards the window, their eyes curious as if they were watching a detective movie. Is that Chen Yuan? How did he get downstairs so fast? Hearing that, Qin Wushuang dashed over to Chen Yuan like an arrow. Then she stood in front of him, her face showing determination. Chen Yuan, I believe you now. Teach me how to cultivate immortality. I want to cultivate immortality too. Well, it made sense. After witnessing Shen Yuan jumping off the 6th floor and still being perfectly fine, who could remain calm? People might not survive jumping from the 2nd floor, so what was all this about cultivating immortality? Chen Yuan stood there, his face still serious, but inside it felt like a storm was brewing. God, please don't ask any more. I just want to live peacefully. But this woman really seems to want to go crazy. Cultivating immortality? I don't even know how to practice. How can I teach anyone now? Thinking that, he's still trying to hold back a laugh, maintaining a serious expression like a real master. He waved his hand as if shooing away a buzzing fly by his ear. No, it's not that I don't want to teach you, but you don't have a spiritual root. No matter how hard you try, you won't be able to cultivate immortality. That statement hit hard against the tiny glimmer of hope that Qin Wushuang had just felt. But instead of giving up, she became even more tangled up. What is a spiritual root? How do you know I don't have one? Back in high school, I scored perfectly in both math and English. Doesn't that count as a spiritual root? Chen Yuan maintained the demeanor of a calm man, shaking his head in refusal. Do you really think being good at school makes you a genius? It's great that you're smart, but a spiritual root is different. It's something you can gain no matter how well you perform academically. Understand? Stop daydreaming. Qin Wushuang stood there, her eyes blazing, muttering like she was rapping. Spiritual root? What is that? I'm good at both math and English. Can that count? Why do you blame everything difficult on some nonsensical stuff? Don't think that denying me will end it. If I don't have a spiritual root, how do I get one? Just show me how to obtain a spiritual root, and that would be enough. Qin Wushuang was indeed the stubborn type. Once she dug her heels in, she ignored whatever anyone said. Chen Yuan felt truly helpless. Reluctantly, he spoke while picking up a small stone and said, Listen, I'll give you 1 month. If you can sense the spirit power, I will teach you how to cultivate immortality for real. But before he could even envision himself practicing, Chen Yuan had left Qin Wushuang speechless. In Chen Yuan's hand, the small stone was like a powerful bullet, swiftly shooting through the air as if equipped with a jet engine, whizzing past Qin Wushuang's face. The stone covered a distance of more than 10 meters and suddenly collided with a 12mm industrial glass. A shattering sound echoed, and the glass immediately cracked in spider web-like patterns. Both Qin Wushuang and Yi Han were stunned, unable to believe their eyes. Qin Wushuang even exclaimed, What the hell? Was that the divine arrow technique? Her entire world collapsed instantly, but not due to pain or disappointment. Instead, it was because her heart was racing wildly in her chest. Overwhelmed with shock and admiration, she began to think, Damn, Chen Yuan is indeed not an ordinary person. If he says I don't have a spiritual root, there must be a reason. Yi Han, equally astonished, chimed in. I wonder what else Chen Yuan has up his sleeve. Even if I have to acknowledge him as a master and start from the very basics, I want to follow Chen Yuan. However, Chen Yuan remained very calm and even pouted in disdain. This piece of glass is of poor quality. They must have skimped on the materials. This left both girls feeling both surprised and amused. Chen Yuan seemed like someone who could bend reality with just a few flicks of her hand. Not to be outdone, Yi Han decided to test her luck. She picked up a bigger, heavier stone, ran high speed, and threw it with all her might straight at the glass. From the confident look on her face, it seemed like the result would be even more impressive than Chen Yuan's throw. Of life is not a dream. The stone hit the glass, made a noise, and bounced back. Nothing cracked, nothing shattered. The glass stood still, coldly challenging every effort of Yi Han. The stone rolled on the ground while Yi Han stood frozen, her eyes wide in disbelief at the result. How can this be? I clearly threw harder than Chen Yuan. Chen Yuan looked at Yi Han with a knowing glance but said nothing more. She just stood there, leaving Yi Han to ponder. The glass was too durable, far exceeding any expectations of toughness. The impact force from Chen Yuan's throw, as I calculated, was stronger than a pistol, even comparable to an AK-47. The more she thought, the more Yi Han felt as though every physics theory she'd ever learned was turned upside down. Her mind was in turmoil, and her heart began to show signs of disbelief in reality. At this moment, Chen Yuan appeared to be full of self-satisfaction. Very simple. Do you know what true primordial force is? You just need to focus the primordial energy into your hands, and with a simple throw, you can kill someone invisibly. Unfortunately, my current cultivation is too weak. Otherwise, I could soar through the sky on my sword, killing enemies from 1,000 miles away. At that moment, Chen Yuan's image could not have been more imposing. His back stood there like a solid mountain, exuding an aura of power, yet shrouded in an air of mystery. Chen Yuan's expression was as if he had just stepped out of a wuxia film, embodying the carefree demeanor of a celestial being wandering through the world. Yi Han, who had never believed in absurd ideas like cultivating immortality, now found herself completely convinced. She felt herself being swept into the enchanting world that Chen Yuan described. She thought, have I missed something in life? Are there truly things beyond the reach of ordinary people? If I don't seize this opportunity, perhaps I'll never know. Thinking of this, her beautiful eyes, once lost in contemplation, now sparkled with newfound determination. Then Yi Han looked at Chen Yuan and pleaded, Mr. Chen, do you think I have the potential to cultivate immortality? But Chen Yuan was not so easy to please. He did not hesitate to answer bluntly. Unfortunately, you do not have a spiritual root. If you think you can just ask for one, doesn't that mean everyone in the world would have already become immortals? After listening, Yi Han suddenly became restless and dissatisfied. All right, Mr. Chen, but can we add WeChat? In the future, if anything comes up, I hope to receive your guidance. Her determination made the atmosphere a bit tense. Chen Yuan didn't think much about it and confidently pulled out his phone to open the QR code. Go ahead, scan it. Qin Wushuang, watching the two of them scan the code, also felt a bit anxious. Yi Han was not someone who took the initiative like this. In fact, in her entire life, Yi Han had never asked for a boy's recap before. This was a special exception. Seeing the atmosphere calm down, Chen Yuan couldn't help but feel proud. Finally managed to trick these two. I was going crazy being stuck like a tail. Then, Chen Yuan suddenly became serious and said one sentence. Remember, today's events must not be spread around. Those who cultivate immortality have hidden themselves from the world for a long time. If you all happen to blurt something out, it could bring disaster upon yourselves. The calamity comes from those you don't want to meet. After listening, both of them could only nod solemnly, but their eyes were sharper than ever. No matter what, we will absolutely not give up. In the past, I didn't know who you were and didn't care. But now it's clear we can't let this opportunity slip away. Even if you don't want to teach, we will cling to you until you agree to take us as your disciples. Although both girls refused to back down, Chen Yuan was as firm as if nailed to a post. Damn, that's not happening. So instead of a long-winded negotiation, Chen Yuan decided to ignore everything. Meanwhile, the group of Zheng Zailu, Yang Weebai, Sequan, and Wang Meng Meng approached the zoo area. Chen Yuan, are you okay? Zheng Zailu looked at the broken glass, astonished. Who ruined this industrial glass? Yi Han and Qin Wushuang remained calm and indifferent, responding succinctly. We just wanted to check the quality, but it seems it's not very good. Just return the result, no explanation needed, nothing else. While everyone was preoccupied with the incident involving the glasses, Zheng Zilu was captivated by something else. Her eyes lit up when she saw a group of adorable alpacas at the zoo. The alpacas, with their fluffy and soft fur, kept Zheng Zilu entranced. And so, Zheng Zilu felt as if she had struck gold and immediately rushed to the alpacas without a second thought. Wow, alpacas, they're so cute. Can I have one? Chen Yuan chuckled lightly, crossing his arms, and said, sure, pick one. Lucky for Chen Yuan, Zheng Zilu only asked for an alpaca. If she had requested a northeast tiger, things would have likely been much more complicated. But the story didn't end there. Chen Yuan's gaze quickly shifted to Yang Weebai, who was standing nearby and seemed a bit worried about something. Weebai, you said you wanted to discuss something with me. Let's step outside to talk. Initially, when arriving at this villa, Yang Weebai was quite confident, but now, under Chen Yuan's sharp gaze, all confidence seemed to vanish, leaving only a feeling of nervousness. Following Chen Yuan, Yang Weebai felt both anxious and perplexed, just like on the first day of school. A distance of only 100 meters, yet it felt long enough to express countless thoughts. However, there was not a single word exchanged between them, the kind of feeling so abundant that they left them speechless. In Yang Weebai's heart, there were a multitude of things she wanted to say to Chen Yuan, about her emotions, about the care she was lacking, but she didn't know how to start. As a result, both silently walked on, leaving her head spinning with thoughts. Time passed, and Chen Yuan didn't ask or show any concern. Did I make a mistake by letting my heart skip a beat for someone like him? Yang Weebai wondered, but what puzzled her even more was the way he treated her. If Chen Yuan didn't care, then why was he willing to give her everything? What drove her crazy was that Chen Yuan had never officially acknowledged their relationship. He remained silent, as if their emotions weren't important. With the frustration building inside her, she felt like she was falling into a bottomless pit of ambiguity. She had no idea whether he truly considered her a girlfriend, or just a temporary passerby to alleviate his loneliness. Meanwhile, there were many girls around him. Every time she thought about it, she couldn't help but sigh. No, Yang Weebai, I can't keep waiting for this cold guy's nod of approval. I have to confess my feelings. Both walked on silently, like two actors in a silent film playing in the middle of winter. It was when Yang Weebai suddenly glanced down and noticed that Chen Yuan's shoelace had come undone at some point. She decided to speak up to break the awkward silence. Wait a moment, Chen Yuan, your shoelace is untied. Chen Yuan replied nonchalantly, oh really, and prepared to sit down to tie it himself. But before he could bend down, Yang Weebai seized the opportunity and suggested, let me tie your shoelace for you. Without waiting for Chen Yuan to agree, she quickly sat down and carefully tied his shoelace, even adding a pretty bow, just like tying a ribbon on a Christmas gift. Chen Yuan, who was always haunted by the image of the school goddess, now saw that goddess willingly lowering herself to tie his shoelace. It left him speechless. What's happening to this world? Yang Weebai would do that. So many people admired her from afar. Surely they would be heartbroken to witness this. It was simply ridiculous. Yet this small gesture made Chen Yuan feel warm inside. You took her pale, cool hands that felt like jade and said, last time you went to Jianbaka, I didn't contact you. That was my fault, I'm sorry. The apology for the delayed meeting from a few months ago was finally spoken, leaving Yang Weebai with a ton of unresolved feelings inside. She candidly admitted, it's okay. Actually, what concerns me is not that. What worries me is that the misunderstanding between us has existed for a long time and it hasn't been resolved. I know very well you still care about what happened at the car exhibition that day when Zhengyi asked for my WeChat and I gave it to him. You happened to witness it. Since then, no matter how much I try to explain, things seem to get worse. Your attitude has grown much colder. Yang Weebai continued in a low voice, her eyes showing signs of pain. I'm really afraid of this feeling. It is painful when both of us understand that our feelings are no longer what they used to be, but we don't know how to mend it. The harder I try, the more hopeless I feel. Chen Yuan embraced Yang Weebai, gently comforting her. I've forgiven you a long time ago. Don't keep feeling guilty. It sounded warm, but in reality, Chen Yuan had stopped caring since he walked out of the car exhibition that day. In Yang Weebai's mind, the worries kept piling up. She was determined to ask everything clearly. Chen Yuan, have you really forgiven me? Feeling the need for more certainty, she continued to ask, so am I your girlfriend? A straightforward question without beating around the bush, but Chen Yuan merely responded indifferently. If you want, it could be that way. Thus, Yang Weebai decided to take a bold step to test Chen Yuan's seriousness. She threw out a supreme question, that will you marry me? It was indeed a question that few could evade, surprising and pressuring. In that moment, the atmosphere seemed to freeze. Yang Weebai held her breath waiting for Chen Yuan's answer. To heighten the drama, the author closely depicted the faces of the two, all holding their breath in anticipation. But after a brief silence, the outcome was not what she had hoped for. Chen Yuan casually uttered two words, will not. The succinct answer was heavy, like a stone falling, shattering all her fragile hopes. Yang Weebai choked out another question. Why? Why don't you want to marry me? Chen Yuan's next words were like dragging Yang Weebai down into an endless abyss. If you marry me, someone else will be hurt, and you cannot ignore their feelings. As if adding fuel to the fire, Chen Yuan's voice echoed with helplessness. I love you, Weebai. I really loved you since high school. But right now, I have also fallen in love with someone else. That doesn't mean I no longer love you. It just means there is room in my heart for others who are equally important. I can't easily choose. Oh my god, what kind of reasoning is this? Yang Weibai was in shock, but still insisted on pressing for the ultimate answer. Who do you love the most? Who do you want to marry? Do you really want to keep being this promiscuous? This question exposed the inner turmoil, forcing Chen Yuan to confront a choice he had never considered. But Chen Yuan responded frankly, yes. Yang Weibai collapsed. The feeling was like eating noodles and realizing she forgot to add the seasoning packet, bland, empty, and full of disappointment. She could no longer hold back her emotions, tears streaming down like a waterfall. Trash. Shameless. Useless. You really are scum. I hate you. As she shouted, she burst into tears and ran straight out of the villa.